You have been shoveling coal for 6 hours straight, and your arms stopped hurting 3 hours ago. That is what this job does to you. It doesn't break you all at once. It just grinds the feeling out of you, slowly, until the shovel moves on its own and your mind goes somewhere else. Tonight, somewhere else is a letter you haven't written yet to your mother in Belfast, telling her you arrived safely. You've been meaning to write it since Southampton. You keep putting it off. There is always tomorrow. The boiler room is loud in a way that people above deck will never understand. It isn't just noise. It is pressure, heat, and vibration living inside your chest. The furnaces burn at over 1,000 degrees, and the air down here, 30 feet below the waterline, smells of iron and sweat and something older than either. You are one of 173 firemen and trimmers working in rotating shifts to keep this ship moving at 22 knots across a flat black Atlantic. It is April 14th, 1912. You are 4 days into the maiden voyage of the largest ship ever built, and everything is exactly as it should be. Then, at 20 minutes to midnight, the world changes, and it changes quietly. You feel it before you hear it. A shudder that moves through the iron floor and up through your boots and into your spine. It lasts maybe 10 seconds. Not violent. Not the collision you would expect from something so catastrophic. More like the ship grazed something, the way a horse brushes a fence post. The engines, which have been a constant bass note beneath everything you've done for 4 days, go silent. The men around you look up. Nobody speaks. In the sudden stillness, you can hear your own breathing for the first time since you came on shift. Then the water comes in through the side of the ship. It doesn't rush in, not yet. It seeps first, thin streams through the steel at the bow of Boiler Room 6, cold and dark and wrong. One of the leading stokers shouts something you can't make out over the dying echo of the steam, but you don't need to hear the words. You have already dropped your shovel. The water is at your ankles before the order to abandon the compartment even reaches you, and when it does, it is not a calm instruction. It is a man screaming from the top of the emergency ladder, his voice cracking with something that sounds like disbelief more than fear. 24 men climb that ladder in under 2 minutes. You are one of them. Up on E-deck, the ship feels different. Still. Too still. The engines have been stopped, and a great ocean liner without its engines is an unnatural thing, like a cathedral with no sound. Passengers drift through the corridors in dressing gowns and overcoats, some of them holding life belts loosely, as if they've been handed something they don't know the purpose of. A woman asks you what has happened. You tell her you don't know. It is the first lie you have told tonight. By midnight, word has filtered down through the crew in fragments and whispers. The ship has struck an iceberg. 6 compartments are flooding. Thomas Andrews, the man who designed the Titanic, has told Captain Smith that she cannot survive. She will sink, maybe in an hour, maybe in 2. The math is simple and absolutely merciless. The Titanic was designed to stay afloat, with 4 compartments flooded. Tonight, 6 are compromised. The water will spill from one into the next, an unstoppable sequence, like a row of glasses being filled one by one. There is no stopping it. There is only time. You go up. The boat deck is cold in a way that surprises you, even though you knew the North Atlantic in April would be cold. The thermometer reads 28 degrees Fahrenheit. The sea around the ship is flat and black and enormous and utterly, perfectly calm, which strikes you as a particular kind of cruelty, because if there had been waves, if there had been chop, the lookouts might have seen the iceberg sooner. The ocean gave the ship every possible advantage tonight, and the iceberg still won. The first lifeboat is being lowered at 12:45 in the morning, and when you see it, a boat built for 65 people, carrying 27. Something shifts in your chest. You understand now for the first time what is actually happening. Not the sinking. You already know about the sinking. What you understand now is the arithmetic. There are 2,224 people on this ship. There are lifeboats for roughly half of them, and even those are going into the water, half empty because the passengers don't believe it yet. They are standing on the deck of the grandest ship in the world, and they cannot make themselves believe that it is going to the bottom of the sea. You find yourself at the rail of boat deck, watching Lifeboat 7 shrink into the darkness below. A crewman you recognize from the stoker's quarters is standing beside you. He says nothing. You say nothing. There is a band playing somewhere behind you. Waltzes and hymns, the notes drifting across the deck in the freezing air. And the absurdity of it is so complete that you almost laugh. Almost. By 1 in the morning, the bow is visibly lower. You can feel it in the angle of the deck beneath your feet. A subtle wrongness, like a floor that hasn't been built quite level. The water has reached the name on the bow. Women and children are filling the boats now more quickly, and the crewmen have stopped being polite about it. At one of the portside davits, a group of men tries to rush a lifeboat, and an officer fires his pistol into the air. 3 shots. The sound cuts through the music and the cold and the murmur of the crowd, and for a moment, everything goes very quiet. And here is where the night takes something from you that you will never name correctly, because the words haven't been invented yet. There is a lifeboat, collapsible sea, and there is space in it, and a crewman waves you toward it, because you are crew and they need crew to row. You step forward. You are 3 feet from the gunwale when you see her. A woman, maybe 30, with a child on each arm, standing at the edge of the crowd, with the expression of someone who has already accepted the worst. She isn't pushing, she isn't fighting, she is simply standing there, holding her children, waiting for a turn that is not coming. You step back. You motion to the crewman. He pulls her forward instead. You watch collapsible sea lowered into the water. There were empty seats. You counted them. If this story's pulling you in, hit like and subscribe. There are more last hours to tell. By 2 in the morning, the Titanic is dying in a way that is no longer possible to ignore or soften or explain away. The bow is under. The stern is rising. The angle of the deck has gone from subtle to severe, and people are holding onto railings and ropes in each other. The sound the ship makes as it tears itself apart from the inside is something that no one who hears it will ever be able to describe accurately. A groan that starts deep in the hull and rises through the steel and into the deck beneath your feet. The sound of something enormous admitting that it has lost. At 2:18 in the morning, the lights go out. They flicker once, just once. And then there is nothing but the stars, which are extraordinary out here, far from any shore. More stars than you have ever seen in your life, burning cold and indifferent above a ship that is no longer going to reach New York. In the darkness and the tilting and the screaming that has replaced the music, you feel the hull beneath you shudder with a new kind of violence. A roar builds from somewhere inside the ship, deep and total. And then the Titanic does the thing that everyone will talk about for the rest of history. She breaks in too. The sound is not like anything you have a word for. It is structural and final, and it moves through your body like sound through water. The bow half, already submerged, drags itself downward and away. The stern, your end, the end where you are still standing, rises into the air at an angle that should not be possible. Deck becoming wall becoming ceiling, and the ocean rushes up toward you from below, black and 31 degrees and vast, and you understand that the letter to your mother is never going to be written. You go into the water at 2:20 in the morning. The cold is not painful. That is the thing no one tells you. At 28 degrees, the cold is not a sensation. It is an erasure. It takes your breath in the first second. It takes your strength in the first minute. It takes everything else in the minutes after that. Around you in the darkness, there are voices. Hundreds of them, calling out across the black water, names, prayers, instructions, the specific, wordless sound of people who are not ready. A few hundred feet away, the stern of the Titanic stands vertical against the stars for one impossible moment. A tower of black steel against a sky full of light. And then it slides straight down, and the ocean closes over it without ceremony, and the voices around you begin, one by one, to go quiet. The lifeboats are out there, somewhere in the darkness. You can see their shapes, their faint lantern light. They are not coming back. Not yet. Some of them will, eventually. One officer will wait 45 minutes and return with a half-empty boat to pull men from the water. He will find very few still alive. The cold works quickly, and it does not negotiate. You look up at the stars. There are so many of them tonight. You never noticed before how many there are when you're far enough from shore, far enough from the smoke and the light of cities, far enough from everything. The Atlantic is very quiet now. The band has stopped. The screaming has almost stopped. The ship is gone. There is only the water, and the stars, and the sound of your own breathing, which is growing slower, and the thought, clear and strangely calm, that you should have written that letter. In the end, it is not the ocean that defeats you. It is the silence. The silence where 2,000 voices used to be. Going thin across the water, boat by boat and name by name, until the North Atlantic in the early hours of April 15th, 1912, is the quietest place on Earth. 1,500 people died that night. The Carpathia arrived at 3:45 in the morning, an hour and 25 minutes after the Titanic sank, and pulled 710 survivors from the sea. The lifeboats were built for over 1,000. Most of them were never full. The letter was never written, and the ocean kept everything else. That was one story. There are thousands more. Subscribe if you want to hear them. And in the comments, tell us which last hours to tell next. We'll see you there.